This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so I think we'll start now. Hello, everyone. My name is Soumya, and I'll be your host for this session. So before starting, I would just give you some, session about this session that some rules where, if you have any questions throughout the session, you can either send them through chatbot or you can unmute and ask. And it would be great if you keep yourself on mute and do not turn on your video cameras. Uh, all right, so let me quickly introduce you to Techcanvass. So Techcanvass is an IT certifications training organization for professionals where we help students to crack their certification exams in first attempt. We are IIB authorized and we are PMI approved. So we provide project management related certification trainings for PMP, CAPM, ACP. We also provide training for business analysis certifications like for ECBA, CBAP, CCBA, Agile. We also have domain training courses into banking, finance, healthcare, and many more. So today's session is very interesting. It is how to become a project manager, since this field is very much, in demand. And we have with us Anusha, who is a PMP certified professional. She's also CAPM and ITIL certified. She has worked in project management and consultant roles with some of the top IT giants such as EY and Dell Technologies. So welcome, Anusha, and I would request you to take this session ahead. Thank you everyone for joining once again.
Yep. Thank you, Soumya, for the brief introduction. Hi, everyone. Good evening. So, just to give you an overview or introduce myself, I'm Manusha and I carry an experience of close to 6 years, or more than 6 years rather, into project management and consultant role. I have worked with different IT giants such as Dell Technologies, Ernest& and Young. The specialities which I carry are innovations, automations, business accelerations, process excellence, service delivery, analysis, and budgeting. Currently, I'm working as a senior manager in IQVIA, which is a data science company. So, as Soumya said, today's discussion is all about how to become a project manager. So, feel free to drop me a question if you guys have it throughout the session. So, to start with, Uh, today's session, we are going to cover up the scope of PM career, the introspect of the PM skills. What is that you need to do to get the first break of your PM role, the PM credentials, the various role which you can work on, when you want to be a project manager, and what can be done beyond the PM role. So I'm hoping after this session, you guys will understand that what is the scope of project management as a career and what is the skills that you need and the certifications that you need to work on. So let's begin the session today. To start with, the scope for PM career. So here, what I'm going to tell you is what is the scope for PM career? What is that is there outside in the world of professionals? So the first thing which is very much into demand is that the project managers as a as a designation or as a professional is high in demand. So the demand for project managers are really very high. According to the PMI, which is Project Management Institute, the Project Management Institute expects around 22 million new project management job openings throughout this whole year till 2027. So that means we have 22 million new jobs opening, which can come till 2027. The second reason is that it has a wide variety of industries to choose to. So project managers are needed in a wide variety of industries. When I say so, although IT field is very common between all of us, but a project oriented work is also common in the business service, oil and gas, finance and insurance, manufacturing, construction, and utility industries. To give you an example around that, let's take the manufacturing industry. So, a project manager manages various clients, vendors, and projects while monitoring the production and eliminating the risk, hazards, and safety issues. That is what a project manager does in a manufacturing industry. Similarly, let's take an example of finance and insurance. So, the potential professional incorporate frequent system changes and technological improvement while planning initiatives and implementing them. That's exactly what a project manager does in a finance and insurance services. So, in short, there is no particular domain where we require a project manager. We have a wide variety or a broad spectrum of industries we can choose to. You can also work in oil and gas, you can also work in manufacturing, you can also work in utilities. The third point to that is the salaries for project managers. And that is something which is eye catching for all of you. So, the salary for a project manager is really very competitive. When I say so, according to the Glassdoor, the national average entry level project manager salary is around 59,000 USD. So, if you convert it in INR, a project coordinator can earn up to 10 lakhs while a senior project manager can earn up to 35 lakhs. So this is how a project manager can earn depending upon their skill set. Likewise, in this case, associate project manager. The associate can earn up to 25 lakhs. It entirely depends upon the skill set you have and how much uh, good you are in project management. All right. Any questions around the scope for PM career? All right, I'll take it as a no. Okay, moving on to the introspect your PM skills. Now, what we are expecting from the project managers. What is that essential competencies that are required to complete a project from start to finish? This is something which we are going to understand in this slide today. So, that regardless of the industry you work in, these are highly sought after skills and it ensures that the completion of project happens in budget and on time. So basically there are few skills which you need to have to become a successful project manager. And these skills which you can see on your screen, they ensure that everyone in the team or department works together to improve the organization's workflow and achieve a common goal. So I'll start with the first skill, that is communication. Communication is the backbone for a project manager. So, being able to communicate your ideas both verbally and writing is a skill that helps project managers excel at their work. Because you guys need to understand, project managers are nothing but the bridge between two different teams. It can be your internal team, it can be your external team, it can be your client and your internal team. So, you guys are basically the bridge between two teams. So they need these skills to communicate with clients and team members through multiple communication channels. Along with being an excellent public speaker during meetings and phone calls, a project manager must convey their ideas through reports, emails, presentations, and other form of written communication. So, in a nutshell, even if you're confident around 90% of your communication skills, you can be a good project manager. All you need is good communication skill in the very first place. Moving on to the second skill, it is nothing but leadership. As you know, the name itself says project manager, somebody who manages. Now, somebody who manages the project, somebody who manages the team. And for both of them, you need excellent leadership skills. So, the ability to lead, inspire, and motivate a team is the most sought after project management skill. And it's just not that leadership skill is only going to help you with project management. It is something which is going to help you with program management, being a senior manager, being a director, or being a vice president per se. So this skill is something which is going to help you throughout your professional career, leadership. So the leadership skill that allows project managers to boost their team spirit, involve goal setting, coordinate
నేను డౌన్లోడ్
tasks, and
చేసి
define
పెట్టేమో
a
అదే చెప్పాను వాడికి
roadmap.
అడుగుతున్నాడు చెప్పు
Guys,
ఇరా
can
అక్కడ
everybody
Please
go
go
on
on
mute,
mute.
please? Thank you so much. Yeah. And it also defines a roadmap to complete the project successfully. So it's just not the project, it's your own professional career, and you need to have leadership skills for that. Moving on to the third skill, which is risk management, and which is again a very important skill set which you need to have in project management. So, risk management is a project management skill that helps a project manager take calculated risk for the organization benefit. Now, there can be a lot of risk coming in the project. There will be few, if you guys are PMP aspirants, there will be few which will be negative risk, and there will be few which will be positive risk. This all depends upon the project manager, as in how they are going to figure out if it's a risk in the very first place, and if it's a positive risk and how much it can help in the project, or if it's a negative risk and how much it can help, how much it can hinder the project. So this is another skill set which a manager should have. The fourth one is negotiation. Now everybody will come to me and ask, why negotiation? Because a project manager is not generally involved in the negotiations. So, why negotiation? Because you need to negotiate between your own teams, between different vendors, different clients, different stakeholders, internal or external. So, it's an essential project management skill that the organization look for in a candidate. So, sorry. Knowing how to negotiate while providing solutions beneficial for all involved parties is a skill you develop through practice and experience. So this is a skill which you cannot just persist. You need to develop the skill while working as a project manager. The last skill, and which is something which all of the project management aspirants should know, is the project management methodologies. Now why is it a skill? It's not basically a skill, but it's an approach as to how you're going to work on a project. That is why we do consider it as as a skill. I'm sorry. So basically, what are project management methodologies? Different set of methodologies as to how you can work on a project. It can be waterfall, it can be agile, it can be numerous methodologies, Scrum, Kanban, anything. So this approaches, basically, they outline the specific principle for overseeing and completing the project. Hence, we consider them as a skill set. All right. Any questions? All right. Okay. Moving on to the break into your first PM role. So what is that you have to do if you really want a break in your PM role? I mean, break as a project manager. If you are an analyst and you want to become a project manager, if you are working in an IT giant and you want to switch your domain to project management, what is that something which you have to do? Just remember, start with the basics of project manager management. When I say start with the basics, I mean understand what is a project. Why do we say that project managers are somebody who can handle project, and project is something which can happen, or which can which we can generate in any industry? So what basically is a project? Understand that thing first. Then understand, how do you actually scope a project? What exactly happens in a project? Now this involves the phases of project, where you're going to justify which part of a project is for which phase. like initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closure. So you need to understand the basics of project management in the very first place. Then the second thing which you can do is go for online project management courses, which can give you an overview about how the project managers work on a project, what happens on a project, what do you actually do in initiation phase. For example, project managers generally plan, they gather the requirements. Everything happens between the initiation and planning phase. Now when it comes to actually implementing the work, it happens in execution phase. So let's take an example of a project where we have got some information from the client and they want us to work on that information. Now, when I'm collecting the information from the client, that is when I'm initiating the project. When I'm going back to my team and telling them about the requirement and understanding what needs to be done and chalking out a plan, that is what comes in planning phase. Sorry. Now, when I'm actually implementing that work, if that is, let's say the requirement is having 7 servers on uh, implementing something on servers. So while I'm implementing something on that server is execution phase. So this is all that you have to understand the basics and what happens in a project. The third part is understand the roles and responsibilities of a project manager. What exactly happens? You cannot be a project manager and yet work as a admin. That cannot happen, right? You should know what your roles and responsibilities are. And when I say you should know what your roles and responsibilities are, that is primarily into the lines of saying no when and where it is required, because you are the sole person responsible for the project. So you should know when to say no, when to say yes, what to accept, what is there in the scope of the project, everything. And you will only know all of that when you know what is your responsibility. And when I say understand the role, I mean understand the role of the different people who are working in your team. There will be scrum master working with the project manager. There will be project sponsor working with the project manager. You need to understand who is responsible for what. You cannot go back to your scrum master and ask them about the finances, because that is something which is the responsibility of a project sponsor. So this is something which you need to be, which you need to know before you even think of getting into project management. And I'm sure if you understand all these basics, and if you know what is who is who and what is their responsibilities, you'll be able to crack any interview in project management. All right. Are we clear on this one? Do you guys need any more information, or is there anything you wanted to ask? All right.
Hi Anusha, I just have one question. How technical a project manager should be? Like, is it required to be too technical for a project manager?
Not really. It entirely depends upon if you want to be a technical project manager or not. For example, there are organizations which are okay if you belong from a non-technical background. And there are organizations which specifically look for technical project managers. So you do not need to have any technical knowledge to get into project management.
So basically, it will depend on project to project. What is the demand of the project, right? Like,
Again, not related to demand of the project, it is actually the demand from the organization. For
yeah.
example, Microsoft. When I say Microsoft have a role which says technical project manager, wherein the project manager should know about the cloud, the infrastructure, what happens where. While in the same organization, there are project managers who are working into a non technical role, who will only act between, act as a bridge between the teams. They should not know what exactly happens on the technical front, but they should always know what happens in Jira, what happens in Microsoft project, or what happens in different kind of tools which a project manager works on.
Yeah, okay. I got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, just giving you, stretching it a bit more for you. I belong from a technical background. Now, my first organization expected me to work on technical project management, wherein I was working with cloud infrastructure, data centers, and data backup. What happens when you replicate the data, etc., etc. While the other organization where I switched to, I they did not need a technical project manager. So therein I was solely working on the tools for the project managers. So it entirely depends upon the role you know you're looking for.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yep. Any more questions? All right. Okay. This is going to be something which is really important for all of you. The PM credentials, the certifications which you should have if you really want to be a project manager, or if you really want to choose it as a career. So to start with, the very basic PM credentials which is needed is CAPM, the Certified Associate in Project Management. Now this is a niche level certification. Take it as AIEEE and PMP as IIT. So CAPM, regardless of your career stage, is an asset that will distinguish you in the job market and enhance your credibility and effectiveness working on or with project team. So this certification basically gives you an overview as to what happens in project management. So the prerequisites for this certification is you should have a secondary degree, which can be high school diploma, associate degree, or the global equivalent, and you should have at least 23 hours of project management education completed. That means you should have 23 hours of training. These are the prerequisites for CAPM. Moving on to the certification which is most popular between the project managers, it is PMP. It is the world's leading project management certification. It includes predictive, agile, hybrid, every sort of approaches. And the PMP proves project leadership experience and expertise in any way of working. So basically, if you are a PMP aspirant, it supercharges your career for project leaders across industries. And the prerequisite for PMP is it's a 4-year degree with 36 months of leading projects and 35 hours of project management training or CAPM certification. Club together, this is one prerequisite, or you can go for a high school diploma or an associate degree, 60 months of leading projects, and 35 hours of project management education. So you can either choose one of them. One has a 4-year degree, the other one has a high school diploma. Then the one has 36 months of leading project, the other one has 60 months of leading project. The third 35 hours of project management training remains the same. Now, the other one is PMI PBA, which is PMI Professional in Business Analysis. So, business analysis has become a competency of critical importance to project management, frankly. So, when you see becoming certified as a business analysis expert can move your career in a fresh direction while opportunities for BAs are on the rise. So, now you can be a project manager and you can also be a business analysis. I'm sorry, a business analyst, analytic, I'm sorry, a business analytics person if you really want to be a project manager and then work as a BA at the same time. So the prerequisite for the same is a secondary degree, a 60 months of business analysis experience, and a 35 contact hours of education in business analysis. Again, the training remains the same, 35 contact hours of training in business analysis, 60 months of business analysis experience, and secondary degree. Or you can have a bachelor's degree. Now, the fourth certification, which is also common among the project managers and something which can give your career, again, a supercharge to your career, is PMI ACP. It's basically nothing but PMI Agile Certified Practitioner. So, if you're working in agile approaches and if you have experience around collaboration skills and eagerly embrace complexity and thrive on rapid response time, then this is something which is in demand throughout. So, people who have done PMP and if they are looking for PMI ACP, they basically are people who understand agile very well as a technique or an approach. So it basically tells if you are a PMI ACP certified, it basically tells your employer or your peers or your stakeholders that you have good knowledge around agile. Moving on to the prerequisites for PMI ACP, it's a secondary degree with 21 contact hours of training, 12 months of general project experience within the last 5 years. Even if you do not have that, PMP or Pgmp certification will contain this requirement, and 8 months of agile project experience within the last 3 years. Trust me, guys, when I say this, agile is something which is very important for a project manager. So, PMP and then agile. That is something which you should look for. The other certification is Pgmp, Program Management Professional. So, a program manager is somebody who's on a senior level. So if you guys are PMP aspirants or if you guys have given CAPM, a program is nothing but projects who are clubbed into one program. So you are supposed to manage multiple related projects in a coordinated way, wherein you will be taking care of the projects or you will be handling the project managers at times. So this certification is for you, program management professional. If you go to the prerequisite, it has a 4-year degree, 48 months of project management experience, and 48 months of program management experience within the last 15 years. So the prerequisite itself says that you should have good amount of experience to be a program manager. Moving on to the last certification, which is CSM, which is nothing but Certified Scrum Master. Now it is similar to Agile. It basically enables professionals to enhance their proficiency in Agile and Scrum practices. And it gives them an opportunity to be a member of the Scrum Alliance for 2 years. So I won't say this is equivalent to PMP, but this is a methodology driven exam wherein the peers or the stakeholders would know that you're good in Scrum. So there's no eligibility criteria for a CSM certification. But you should be at least familiar to the Scrum framework. And you have to take 16 hours of training for the from a certified Scrum trainer. That's all you have to do. No other prerequisite, no other you know no other eligibility criteria around that. All right. So this ends the PM credentials slide. Any questions around that?
Anusha, there is one question from Abhay, but he says that how is this training or education done? So I'm not sure which specifically which certification he's talking about. Abhay, can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Sure. For first, either for CAPM, especially for CAPM, Anusha pointed out that we need around 20 or 21 hours of training or education for that. So, and also a degree. So how is this training and education done? Like when we register, they offer this course kind of thing.
All right. They do not offer any course. You have to get this training from from outside um, vendors. They do not provide any course. There are different vendors who provide training. It can be, and Techcanvass also provides that, by the way. So all you have to do is, and Soumya, correct me if I'm wrong there. So all you have to do is get that training from a certified trainer. They are going to give you a certificate. That will be your, prerequisite before even you go ahead and register yourself for CAPM or PMP.
Yes, I think you are
Oh,
absolutely right. So basically, when you enroll for the training, it has to be a PMI approved training partner. So Tech Canvas is one of them, which of as she mentioned, at the end of the training, we covers the PDUs that are required in order to be eligible for the certification. And once you have taken the training, you will get a certificate which will mention that you have completed these many hours and you are eligible, and then you can go ahead and apply.
understood, understood. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
Um, there are questions on the chat board. So Juhi is asking, can you please elaborate how you cleared your PMP exam since it requires large amount of resources, Pmbok, agile practices, etc. So how should we choose our resources?
Okay. All right. So it took me around 1 year to, to understand what happens in a project and what exactly PMP exam is all about. I started off with Pmbok. Pmbok, guys, is your Bible for project managers. I mean, you go through Pmbok 3 or 4 times, and sure shot you can crack the PMP exam. So once I was done with Pmbok, I switched to Rita Malkahi. That's again a book. So Pmbok, just understand, if you guys are from CBSE, it's NCRT, and Rita is that side book which gives you questions with examples and explanation around that answer. That is something which I have done. Also, to understand the outputs and inputs and processes and knowledge areas, all of that. Uh, One thing which I used to do was, a while I was sitting on my workstation, I used to stick notes or diagrams on that workstation. So whenever I'm working, I can just watch that, or maybe get a glance of which knowledge area, which process comes in what, and can understand what is happening. So that is something which I used to do. The third thing is, go for simulators. Just test yourself how much you can get in a in a pseudo exam, or how much you can get into a simulator, how much marks are you scoring, what is that knowledge area wherein you're lacking, and just understand all of that and prepare yourself around that. Keep on giving exams in that simulator, keep on giving those exams on maybe a weekly basis or monthly basis once you're done with Pmbok. So that will give you an overview as to where you stand. And then maybe once you're confident enough that you can crack the exam, go ahead and do it. Another tip for PMP is, and I'm not sure if anybody has given you this tip, but the ground reality is very different as to what happens in, what questions are asked in PMP. Okay. So PMP, when you go by book, if there's something which is asked by a customer which is out of scope, a project manager is supposed to go back and say no. But if you guys are project managers, so the ground reality is, you do not go back to the client and say no. You try to accommodate their request for the organization. So when you're giving a PMP exam, you need to just erase everything which you do on a daily basis. If you are a project manager, just leave it aside and answer as per what Pmbok says. That's when you can crack the exam. So, are we good? Did I answer your question? Soumya, any more questions for me?
We have questions, but I think you can finish off with the presentation, and then maybe we'll take all the questions at once then.
Okay. All right. So now, what are
Is
the
there any
various? Yes.
is there any question bank for this PMP exam?
Question bank for PMP exam. That's what you asked?
Yes, yes.
No, there's no question bank for the exam. There are simulators, as I said. You can see those questions. You can, get those questions on different from different vendors or different websites. Techcanvass also provide those questions, if I'm not wrong. But if you're looking for a question bank per se, there's no question bank around. I think Techcanvass does provide a question bank. Soumya can give you an answer to that.
Yeah, so basically we have 200 free questions that you can enroll for. You can download that, which is like starter kind of a thing. And but if you enroll for the course, we have like 2000 plus questions as part of the course.
Uh, can Canvas having the last 5 years exam questions?
No, so we don't provide those sample questions kind of a thing, but the question bank which is prepared, which I said 2000 plus questions, it is prepared by the PMI trained instructors and experts. So it serves the purpose of practice and give you that edge.
So I tell you something. If you're looking for questions from the past 5-year exams, you will not be going to get it anywhere. And even if you're going to get it, I'm not sure if they will be authentic or if they will be, you know, if if there's an if or there's something which is wrong with those questions. I'll tell you why. When a PMI, when they put across those questions or when the PMP exam is held, nobody is allowed to check those questions beforehand. Nobody has access to those questions. The PMI or the Project Management Institute, they release different set of question papers to different folks. So even if two people are giving the exam at the same time sitting in the same center, they might not get the same questions. So you will not have the exact questions from the past 5 years, but yes, as Soumya mentioned, you can understand what kind of question comes in. And and I'm the one who makes question banks. I'm sorry, questions for Tech Canvas. So I'm just giving you an overview. What exactly happens when we create a question. Since we have given the PMP exam, there are different professionals who have given the PMP exam. We know what set of questions, what kind of questions, or what kind of options were there in that. So that's how we generate the questions. That's how we create the questions, thinking about the time when we gave the PMP exam or when our peers they sit with us and when they gave the exam. So we collect those data, we understand the kind of questions that come in, we understand that there will be options which will be confusing. So that's how we create a question. And that's how Tech Canvas provide you the question bank.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Okay. So coming back to the slide, the various roles. So if you're a project manager, what various roles you can, you can explore? Not just the project manager, but you can also be a people manager while being a project manager. You can also be a business consultant, as I was. Since I'm PMP certified, I can be a business consultant. I can be a delivery manager. I can be a people manager. I can be a project manager. I can even be an executive sponsor. So these are the kind of roles which which you can explore if you have understood what exactly happens in project management. Also, if you have understood what is the responsibility of each and every role in project management. So I'm just going to keep it short because I think there will be a lot of questions. So the executive sponsor. Now, what does an executive sponsor does? So basically, their responsibility is to monitor the budget and control the spending. Now, if you're PMP certified, or if you are a project manager, or if you are an aspirant of program, management professional, you will know what is budgeting and what happens in budgeting, what is forecasting, how do you generate revenue. You will know all of that, so you can be an executive sponsor of a project. Your responsibility will be risk governance, business prioritization. You provide feedback and then you align project to organizational strategy. Now, project manager. Everybody knows the primary responsibility is project, making sure that the deliverables are met in time and in budget. Then you can be a people manager. You can just manage the project or manage the project managers, or you can also manage projects which are, which are clubbed together. So these are the different designation which you can explore if you really want to be, a PMP aspirant, or if you really want to be a project manager. A project manager not necessarily has to be always a project manager. It can be a consultant. I'm sorry, he or she can be a consultant, or he or she can be a delivery manager if you have experience. Like in this case, business consultant. So your role will be planner, advisor, and project management team leader. So basically, you will conceptualize and implement solutions that relate to quality or process improvement. So your part of job will be, enable the stakeholders of a project to identify and rectify inefficiencies. That is exactly what a project manager does. But different organization have different set of roles. And I'm sorry, and not just different set of roles, they even have different names to that role. Now, a delivery manager. Now, here the primary responsibility is that the project is delivered within the agreed time and lines. I'm sorry, time and budget, while the quality is maintained throughout the project. So these are the various roles which you can, go for, not just project manager. If you are a project manager, you can go for business consultant, delivery manager, executive sponsor, people manager, anything. All right. Can we have the questions, please?
Okay, so I will read out the questions that are there on the chat.
Mhm.
So MK asks, any live example of PM role in day-to-day agile waterfall environment in collaboration with BA, PO, Scrum Master?
Okay. So basically, when you say agile, it is something. Okay, let's understand the difference between waterfall and agile, and then understand what Scrum, what Scrum plays between agile and waterfall. So for any project which has a definite scope, we generally go for a waterfall approach because we know everything will be in place. We know what is the timeline. We know how many resources we need. We know all those details. While in agile, what happens? Agile is nothing but wherein we do not know what exactly the scope will be, or where we know that the scope can change after some time. That's when we use agile. Now, giving an example of agile and Scrum, you know, being two methodologies collaboratively together, the Scrum core team or the Scrum master, they work together with the different stakeholders, okay, to create and validate the deliverables, let's say. While this creation and validation is happening, The project manager is going to supervise that. Okay, so if let's say the Scrum Master is creating and validating the deliverables, let's say for example, basically it's the core team which does that. So the project manager is overviewing that whole project. So that's how the Scrum Master and project manager who's working on that agile project is collaborating together. Giving you a bit of tools related example. Let's take an example of a project which is on Jira, let's say. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what is Jira and what happens there. There are different tasks which are which are present there. So the project manager will be following the agile methodology while he's working on that project. He or she is working on that project. Wherein the Scrum Master, who is a part of that project team, will make sure that there are no roadblocks for the team, for the core team. And the core team is working collaboratively together. The project manager is the one who is overviewing. The Scrum Master is somebody who's making sure that there's no roadblock and the teams are working together. Does th- does that answer your question, MK?
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, Soumya.
Okay, yeah. So next question is by Shubham. He asks, I have almost 5 years of experience in project and core sector. Having said that, I'm working as an engineer and reporting to a project manager. I haven't led any project directly on paper. Which certification will be useful for me to start with?
So there are two things which you can do. To start with, you can go for CAPM, and then post that you can go for PMP. Since you do not have any concrete project led experience, you should go for CAPM first. That's going to give you a base to your project management domain or career. So go for CAPM. Uh, I'm sorry, because you do not have the project led experience. Though you have an experience of 5 years, uh, you can go for PMP, but for that you need to have 5 years of project management experience or 3+ years of project management experience. So how it works, whenever you registering yourself for CAPM or PMP, you need to put the project details in there, that from what time to what time did you lead the project, what exactly happened in that project. You have to provide all those details, and an audit happens from the backend through PMI. So there's no way you can directly give PMP. You have to start with CAPM first and then go for PMP. As I said, consider CAPM as AIEEE and consider PMP as IIT. Yep, that is it.
Cool. Shubham, hope that has answered your question, right?
Yes, I got my answer. Thank you.
You're welcome. Uh, okay. So Anuja, moving on. Oh, can you go on mute, Shubham? Thank you. So, Anusha, can we have the last slide? Till then, we are taking all the questions. Great. So if anybody can, if anyone wants to reach out to us, we have the contact details as provided on the screen. Next question is from Eugenio. He asked, based on your experience, how long do you think it takes for a professional who starts working on projects and develops without obtaining recognized certifications to become a project manager?
I'm sorry, Soumya. Can you repeat that question for me, please?
Yes. Based on your experience, how long do you think it takes for a professional who starts working on projects and develops without obtaining recognized certifications to become a project manager? Basically, how long does it takes to become a project manager? Who starts for a professional who starts working on projects and Yeah.
You just need to answer that question, you just need one project to understand what happens in project management and to call yourself a project manager. If you understand what happens from initiation to closure phase and what goes around, around those 5 phases of a project, you can become a project manager right after one project. Now, in terms of designation, if you're asking this question to me, then it entirely depends upon the organization to organization. People are project coordinators yet doing the work of project managers. And there are people who are project managers and yet doing the work of an admin. But a person who understands the project and have worked on a project from initiation to execution is a project manager. Does that answer your question? Should I take it as a no? Soumya, can we have the next question, please?
Yes. Okay. So next question, Ankita is asking, what is the cost of PMP certification exam?
Oh my God, that's a Ankita, the cost for PMP certification is around 40,000 something. I can give you the exact, give me a minute. I'm just looking for the exact number. But it is around, yes, I know if you're a if you are a PMI member, then it is for $405. And if you're a non-PMI member, it is close to $555. Yes, which is exactly 38,771 INR for non-members and 28,289 for PMI members. And the membership cost is around 10K. So again, stretching this whole thing a bit more, if you are a PMI member, there are various benefits which you can get. To start with, you can be, you can get the latest Pmbok whenever they are making any changes. You're going to get it, through your email, on your email. I'm sorry. The next thing is you can be a PMI chapter member as well. When I say PMI chapter member, this is nothing but the community of project managers in that particular area. Like in Bangalore, we have PMI chapter Bangalore. So we meet each other once in a year or once in a quarter, and we discuss about different things. We get together and understand what has come new, what has happened, and it also gives you a also gives you an option of networking. And third thing, which is going to helpful for you all, it gives discount on all the certifications. As I said, $405 if you are a PMI member. Ankita, does that answer your question?
Okay.
So, can,
So
yeah.
yeah, we will move to the next question. Lucky says, I'm from infrastructure industry with 16 years experience. I want to understand that after completing the PMP, I'll get the opportunity in the other industries as being PM.
Yes, Lucky, you can get that. You can get as a PM, you can get the opportunity in different sort of industries. As I said, wide variety of industries. It's just you have to explain whenever the interviewer is asking a question. You just have to explain the answer in a manner that your infrastructure experience comes into the picture. But let's say if you're going for oil and gas, so you're explaining it in the form of an example of oil and gas while your infrastructure experience is in place. So this is something what you have to do in that particular interview. Rest, you can get a PM job in any sort or any any domain.
Okay, got it done. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the next question. Juhi asks how much this PMP certification will help us in answering the question asked in PM interviews.
A lot of them. The basic question which has been asked in almost all the interviews I have given till date is what is the difference between an issue and risk. And this is the first thing which is taught to us while we are while we are preparing for PMP. Then there will be questions coming from RACI matrix. There will be questions coming from stakeholder mapping. They will not ask questions around tell me which input and output from which knowledge area. No, they will ask questions in a way that you have to give the answer that you have understood or that you have figured out after reading Pmbok or after giving PMP. For example, um, let's take an example of risk. They are going to give you a scenario and they will ask you, the interviewer will ask you that if that risk, what kind of risk is that and what will you do once you get the risk. Now, when you're preparing for PMP, you will know that if it's a negative risk or if it's a positive risk. If it's a negative, what you have to do. If it's a positive, what you have to do. Then, post that, if you have figured out a risk, you have to put it in risk register. You have to explain all of that to interviewer, and that you will only know if you have understood Pmbok or CAPM for that matter. CAPM give you a bit of overview. Pmbok give you a deep knowledge around what happens in project management. So as I said, the basic question that has been asked in all the possible interviews I have given till date is what is the difference between risk and issue. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Next question is how PMP shall help in agile projects? Asked by Amar.
So PMP is going to give you an overview of what happens in agile project. But if you need a deep knowledge around what is agile, what happens in there, and how you work on that project, you have to go for agile certifications, which is Agile Safe or PMI Agile. But PMP gives you an overview of what happens in Agile, what is the different methodology, how you work on Agile, if there are iterations, what happen in a particular iteration, how do you manage those iterations. It gives you an overview. Does
Great.
that answer your question?
Okay. So we have next question from Juhi. CAPM exam resources will also be the same as PMP exam. Do we need to read the whole Pmbok for CAPM also?
No, you do not need to read the whole Pmbok for CAPM because, as I said, Pmbok has in-depth knowledge of project management, while CAPM is an overview of what happens in projects. Of course, if you have understood what happens and if you have read Ritamalkai for example for CAPM, you will be able to connect it with the PMP or the Pmbok knowledge. But CAPM is an overview, Pmbok or PMP is in depth. So for CAPM, there's no need that you should know Pmbok or you should understand each and everything that is there in Pmbok. But if you want to be a PMP certified, then you will definitely have the knowledge which is required for being a CAPM certified. Does that answer your question?
Okay. We'll take the next question. Kiran asks, is CAPM fee different from PMP? I think it is. Anusha will
Yes.
clarify.
Yes, CAPM fees is different than PMP. CAPM is, I think it is around 20K. I'm sorry. Not even 20K. It is around $225 for PMI members and $300 for non-PMI members. Yeah, it is around 20K. So that's the fees for CAPM.
Yeah, thanks, Anusha.
Okay, so I think this is the last question that's posted. What is the difference between PMP and SAFE?
PMP gives you an overview of or in-depth knowledge of all the methodologies, which includes waterfall, agile, Scrum, Kanban, and DevOps, and much more. That while agile only focuses on agile methodology, nothing else. When we are talking about safe, it is only going to focus around agile. It will not teach you a single word which is related to waterfall. But for Pmbok or PMP, it is going to give you an overview of all the possible methodologies that a project manager works on. Does that answer your question?
Uh, okay, we have few more questions. Okay, so Shubham is asking, will CAPM help in getting interview call for associate role in PMO?
I'm sorry, Soumya, for which role in PMO?
Will CAPM help in getting interview call for associate role?
It entirely depends, Shubham. If you have an experience of only 2 or 3 years, then CAPM certification will give you an opportunity to shift to different domains as an associate. But if you have an experience of more than 5 years into project management, then CAPM is not the certification for you. Then PMP is something that you should look for. Does that answer your question, Shubham?
Shubham has few more questions. Can a person
Shoot,
working in
please.
core? I think Shubham, you can unmute yourself and ask to clarify.
Actually, I have asked one question earlier, and you have mentioned that I cannot do the PMP calls directly, and I should opt for CAPM. That's why I have asked you.
So, Shubham, if I may know, how much experience do you have in project management?
5 years,
5 years
right, ma'am.
of project-led experience.
I am working under project manager. My designation is project
Okay.
engineer.
Okay. Yeah, then CAPM is something which you should go for. But then make sure that you tell your manager that you are opting for a different domain. And whenever you're giving the interview, you have to clarify them that though you are sure, can you go on mute, please? Thank you.
You are not
Though you
audible.
are
Yeah, Shubham, you can go on mute, and once you have a question, then you can unmute yourself because there's a lot of
Oh,
disturbance that's there.
I am trying to mute
yeah,
myself.
okay. So since you are a project engineer, you cannot directly give the PMP exam. And if you really want to switch to project management as a domain, you should go for CAPM first. While you're giving an interview, you have to first, make the interviewer understand that you have the project led knowledge. It's just you did not get the opportunity, and to get that opportunity, you have given CAPM exam. So, guys, if we are trying to crack an interview on the basis of a certification, can be it PMP, be it CAPM, be it CSM, it's not the certification which is going to talk about you. The certification is only going to give you, it is only going to put forth your resume, or your resume will be picked because you are a certified professional. Rest all you have to talk there in the interview. By while you're talking, you need to make sure that you understand, you have the in-depth knowledge of that certification. That's when the interviewer is going to pick you up for that particular role. So it's not the certification which is going to talk about you. The certification is going to make sure that the resume has been picked. It's you and your knowledge to crack that certification is something which is going to talk in that interview. Shubham, does that answer your question?
Me, my resume shortlisted for interview. That's what I've asked,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am. Thank you. I got my answer.
Yep. Soumya, any more questions?
No, we don't have any more questions. If anyone has any questions, you can unmute and ask. We'll take last one or two.
Yeah, hi, this is Amar here. Can you
Yes,
hear
Amar.
me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, my question is that, like, I am working in technical. So, in order to move to project management, as you told that the PMP gives like a broader understanding of all various types of project management. However, like the agile, when I meet agile people, they only talk about CSM and safe, and they say that PMP is outdated. So I'm not sure which path to take. So that is my
Okay.
question.
Both are the correct, answers or suggestions towards your question. To start with, PMP is the backbone, and it is one of the highest recognized certification. Okay, so you should definitely go for PMP. Now, agile is something which is in demand in market. So if you are looking for something which is solely agile based, let's say, if the requirement of your job is solely agile based, then you should go for agile. But PMP with agile gives you double points rather than just PMP certified or just agile certified.
So also then you showed some PMI ACP. Is that the middle path between PMP and SAFE?
No, 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 that's not the middle path.
Okay,
SAFE is a certification that is done by a different organization altogether,
right.
while the ACP is something which is done by PMI.
So
So
is it
that's a difference.
equivalent to SAFE? Like PMI ACP is equivalent to SAFE, or means what's your take on comparing both?
So, uh, according to me, they are not equivalent. Okay. It entirely depends. The PMI ACP is nothing but it is basically going to tell you what all agile methodology or what kind of methodology you need to use in planning phase, while the safe is only going to give you the certificate or the knowledge around safe. Now the full form of safe was it was a model basically. I am forgetting the name. I'm forgetting the full form of safe right now, so you need to give me a minute
Yeah,
there.
Anusha, it is a scaled agile
Yes,
framework, something,
exactly.
something. Scaled
Yes,
agile, yeah.
yes. So again, PMP is going to give you an overview around Agile, and SAFE is going to give you an in-depth knowledge of what happens in an Agile framework. So PMP, for example, will tell you that you have to go for a particular iteration. This is the number of people which can come into one iteration. This is the number of, let's say, this is these many calls. This is the stakeholder. While the Agile SAFE, that is basically going to give you an in-depth knowledge of what happens in agile methodology.
Yeah, so do you recommend then PMP plus SAFE? That is the best combination, right? Which will
That
cover
is the
the
best
best of both
combination you
worlds.
can get in the
Okay,
market, frankly.
fine. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks, Anusha.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right. I think we don't have any more questions. So this is the end of the session. Thank you, Anusha. It was a very insightful and a wonderful session, and very interactive. So thank you for that. Thank you everyone for joining.
Can I
So
know,
we
hi, 1 second, please. Can I know when is this session going to happen again? I joined almost towards the end due to some issue with the meeting. I had some technical glitches and I was not able to join on time.
No problem. So we will be, this session is being recorded and it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So you can have a look at the complete session at that time, like on our channel.
Okay. Okay.
And we conduct webinars on every Wednesday and Saturday. So
Mhm.
you guys can check out our events page and there you can register for all the webinars.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was a good one.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anusha.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. You guys have a great day. Bye bye.
Hello.